o'clock any day. He has agreed to take me on a journey along the famed River of Kings. We wend our way through back canals that teem with life, dotted by the corrugated iron rooftops along shores that house a large part of this mega-city. A sense of nostalgia surfaces within me as the slumbering multitude begins to stir among the backdrop of temples and pagodas spiraling toward the sky. It is as if the calendar collides here, the past, present, and future, all speaking in unison. The morning air is fragrant, with aromas ranging from lemongrass to fish sauce, all being prepared for the day's consumption. Yes, the food here wins the palate of virtually every traveller. This is a city I have visited often, and its people are amongst the most winsome in the world. The smiles, the graces, and the charms exude as in no other land I know. A carefree attitude toward life is writ large in the cultural ethos, and strangers make you feel very welcome, even when one may have just cheated you into buying a fake name-brand watch or a pirated copy of the latest movie. I am very much at home on this continent, for it reminds me so much of the land of my birth. But there is a reality here that compels me to ask some hard questions about life. Within this culture, the most reverent of expressions mix with the most unashamed abandon for the sensual. I see a monk walking in the distance, a bowl for begging in his hand, but I also see a man who spends most of his day waylaying tourists and seducing them with pictures to come and visit a nearby brothel. He does that from dawn to dusk, 7 days a week. It is quite a juxtaposition, the monk austere and in pursuit of nirvana, the man with a roguish smile promising a different kind of bliss. Here a cultural immersion would be impossible without visiting a host of temples, the Emerald Buddha, the Reclining Buddha, the Golden Buddha, and a long list of others. But here, too, the newspapers sound a somber tone. The income from prostitution, they declare, exceeds the entire national budget. Here drugs and AIDS have ravaged the population, and sincere politicians are trying desperately to deal with it. But this very city is exploited by money-hungry opportunists who bring in plane loads of men, promising them orgies to fulfill every imaginable craving. And so, as I sit in this sputtering boat, smothered in a misty spray, I feel nearly drowned in a sea of emotions. How does one talk about the eternal when both religion and riotous living argue that nothing is permanent? An odd mix of the glory and the shame of humanity within this microcosm ignites a series of difficult questions. As we make our way down the canal, able to look almost directly into the living quarters of those who live along its shores, I cannot shake the memory of a newspaper article on the front page the previous day. It told the story of a young, attractive woman who left home to earn a living only to pay the heaviest price of all, the devastation of AIDS. This is a summary of that story. At 17, young and beautiful Priya decided to head to the big city to work. Within hours of her arrival, the very friend who had enticed her with the promise of big money mercilessly raped her. Thus began a 14-year stretch of untold heartache and tragedy. As if to mend Priya's torn spirit, the friend found her a job as a seamstress. But even there Priya found no relief from the plundering ways of those she had cast her lot with. She was soon being used and abused to deviant ends, only with a new twist. She was paid for satisfying their perverse pleasures. By the age of 23 she had become a full-fledged prostitute, managed by a handful of thugs who shared in the spoils. Fate struck hard one day when she became pregnant. For a few months her profession was put on hold. Inevitably financial strain set in, and she could hardly wait to give birth to the child so she could give it away, then return to the sordid life that had enslaved her. But a more devastating shock awaited her. She discovered that she was HIV positive. She could not discontinue her lifestyle, for she needed the money to treat her disease and hang on to life. Hardened, calloused, and almost vengeful, she continued to sell her services to hundreds of customers, including bankers, businessmen, and doctors, of whom she kept a detailed record. She knew she was signing each